Hello everyone, I'm Nick from nextstepnick.com and today we're going to talk about the Shattering. So it's an interesting title where you find yourself walking through various different locales, finding items and trying to discover what your past was and who you really are whilst you... I just feel really sleepy. Sorry guys, got distracted there. But what you're basically doing is working your way through your memories, through your past and looking at items to try and discover who you are and the accident that happened to you. It's interesting in the way you can interact with items in the environment and you can glean little ideas about what's happened through things around you. At first you kind of think, well, this is really straightforward. You know, we wake up in a room, a psychiatrist is talking to us through a tape recorder, you immediately pick up a newspaper and a report and it just tells you that basically you were in a car accident. Or so it would seem. That's the thing about this game, is that it is quite interesting in its storytelling, and I do like the way that you can interact with the environment. There's a lot of little secret things as well, kind of hidden, that you can find like extra stories or information about the world itself, and that's really cool. I really like that. But at the same time, it doesn't really do anything, and the story itself, I'm not going to spoil it, but the ending is kind of I mean, you can finish this in about 3 hours, and although it kind of subverts your expectations to an extent, it doesn't really capitalise on it. And I think that's the problem with this game overall, is that there's some really interesting and unique mechanics here of just exploring the world, but it doesn't take full advantage of it. When you find an item for the first time and like a wall breaks down or you start to discover something about your character, really interesting and really gripping. It tends to go towards that Stephen King-esque kind of feel where you go into a hotel, for example, and there's this text about writing, and okay, so we're a writer and we're struggling with this writer's background, and what are we going to do? And there's this psychological trauma, perhaps from our past, and that is explained, but at the same time, it doesn't really lean into it fully. I'm not going to lie, I'm not great with horror games, they generally freak me out a bit, but as the game was going on, I felt this really overarching sense of dread, this real nervousness and anxiety about what was going on, and I really liked that. And that sounds so surreal for me to say, but I really like things like The Shining. So this idea of this psychological thriller style horror where the world is kind of rejecting you and you're trying to find your own place whilst also dealing with like the internal trauma in your mind. Really cool. I really liked it. But it doesn't really take full advantage of it. I mean, this scene here, it's so Stephen King. You can really feel the Stanley Kubrick style vibes here of like The Shining, and it just unnerves you. Like there, I immediately checked behind me because I thought there's going to be something here, or something's going to pop out, or this picture's going to move. I was generally on edge. And likewise later on when you're doing a few different scenes, they're really spooky, they're really creepy, but just nothing ever comes of it. It tends to ramp up. I mean, at this point I got chills down the back of my neck and I thought, okay, this unnerving portrayal of bullying in school. It's deeper than that, but I won't go too deep into it. But there's this really unnerving trauma, and it unsettles you. It makes you nervous, and it draws parallels with your own life. You know, I totally understand this feeling, but it just dissipates. It kind of ramps up, and then it's just gone. And likewise, there are moments in these environments that are really unsettling. You're waiting for something to happen. I was constantly on edge. As I went out here now, I was nervously looking around expecting to see a shadow or something like that, but it just doesn't go there. I mean, ironically enough, with the horses in this scene, it evokes that kind of BoJack Horseman-esque traumatic childhood, you know? That real trauma in the past and this kind of dealing with these scary themes of adulthood and childhood and growth, but it just doesn't happen. A really good example of this will be the safe. So we will be getting to the safe in a minute. It's so irritating how it wasn't utilised correctly. So there's a safe in your room in this game when you go into the hotel, and I was looking around the room trying to find the 4-digit combination. I kept looking at all the different areas. I was saying, oh okay then, there's a number on the projector. Oh, there's a number on the clock. Maybe it's that. Oh hang on, there's a circled date on the calendar. No, it's none of that. When you actually find out what it is, it's so unsubtle. You knock something over, oh there's a 9 on the back. And literally, there are moments in the story where you have to have this happen, so you knock all these things over. You open up the safe, and it's like, oh, you've got a gun. But it doesn't feel like it's an optional thing anymore, it just becomes part of the story. It's not like you've unlocked some little secret here, oh that's really cool. It's just, yeah, you open the safe, there's a gun in it. 2 minutes later, there's a gun on the bath. Oh, okay then. So, just seems kind of pointless, you know? I understand the implication is, oh, we've got this gun in our inventory and we're carrying it around now, but it doesn't flow correctly. It doesn't feel like it's rewarding you for exploring the world. It just railroads you from area to area, and it could really take advantage of some unnerving stuff here. I mean, even here when I was going into the teepee to sort of look around for items, it doesn't capitalise. You just pick things up, they teleport to the wall, a little eerie sound plays, and that's the end. And it's a shame. I feel like it's very close to being a really eerie, cool game with some great atmosphere, and it's worth playing for that, but don't expect an incredible payoff. Anyway, that was The Shattering. Thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and hopefully I'll catch you again very soon.